Raider Nation, answer this question for me. What would you do? Would you draft Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall, or would you trade down type TD? I'm going to be giving you my answer to this question coming up here in just a moment, but at the end of the day, I make content for the nation. And if you've wondered, should the Raiders trade the number 1 overall pick? You're in the right spot, because coming up today, I'm going to tell you what I would want for that number 1 pick. Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, I am going to be revealing what the cost is for the Raiders' number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. To be clear, I don't think the Raiders are going to trade this pick. And to be clear, I am Team Mendoza. I have wanted the Raiders to get a franchise quarterback. I believe Mendoza is a franchise quarterback. And the reason why I am making this video is because I get asked all the time what it would cost for the Raiders to trade away the number 1 pick. This is an offseason about supply and demand. So the trades that you are going to see are going to be a ridiculous, and I mean a ridiculous, price tag. Why? Because I want Mendoza at number 1 overall. And to be clear, I don't think any trades that you're going to see are going to happen, because what I want, my price is up here. I think what teams are going to offer is going to be here. So it's going to be really, really difficult to be able to meet in the middle. But again, I want Mendoza. I am Team Mendoza. And I think that he has got everything that you look for in a franchise quarterback, considering the players we have and then the coaching staff and Tom Brady and John Spytek in place. This is going to be a really good fit. So the trade cost is going to be extremely, and I mean extremely, high. Let's go to the trades here, and I'm going to mix and match here. It's what I like to do on the Raiders Report. I like to be able to show you some different trade ideas. First off, I'm going to tell you what my trade cost is for the number 1 overall pick, and this obviously changes because different teams have different picks. There's different situations across the NFL, but if there's going to be a team and they want to pick up the phone and they want to go, hey, how you doing, John? Hey, how you doing, Tom? Hey, how you doing, Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report? What exactly is going to be your price tag for that pick? I'm telling you this right now. It starts with 4 first-round picks. If you're not willing to offer me 4 first-round picks, guess what? I'm not willing to listen to what the hell you got to say. If you don't have 4 first-round picks, you better figure out a way to go get them, whether you're trading players away or you're going to give me a haul. What I do want to say, though, is if you are the Raiders and you trade that number 1 overall pick, you better also give me a quarterback in return, because we need to be able to get depth. I personally do not know if Dante Moore is going to end up coming out, and I personally don't really think that he is. I think he's honestly going to go back to Oregon, and he's going to play there another year. So, again, supply demand. There's not a lot of great quarterbacks in this year's draft. There's not a lot of great quarterbacks on the open market. So I want to make a team overpay for that number 1 overall pick. And when you look at this Raiders' current quarterback depth chart, Geno Smith's going to be gone. Kenny Pickett's a free agent. It's only Aiden O'Connell. So if you don't draft Fernando Mendoza, I want whatever team is going to give me those 4 first-round picks, I want you to also give me a quarterback. I'm not saying that that quarterback needs to be a starter, but what can't happen is I can't invest some of those other picks and getting a quarterback. You're going to give me your backup. You're going to give me a third stringer, because I still then got to go out and find another potential starting quarterback. The problem with that idea is, though, there might not be any starting quarterbacks available come the NFL draft. Just want y'all to know that. Conversation starts, though, to be clear, with 4 first-round picks. Let's now go to what the NFL trade value chart says. And anytime I get asked about trades, I do always look at the NFL trade value chart. The photo that you're going to see, you're not going to really be able to see anything. But I do want to show you that if there is an actual chart, if you go on Google and you type in NFL trade value chart, it essentially values each pick. Every one that you see in green are all the Raiders picks. So the number 1 pick they'll show you is a value of 3,000 points. The Jets pick at number 2 is valued at 2,600 points. If you want to be able to see this a little bit more in depth, I encourage you to, again, go to Google and type in NFL trade value chart. So according to the NFL trade value chart, this is what it would cost for the Jets to move up and get the number 1 overall pick. it would be a pick swap of 1 and 2, and we would get a second-round pick. It's the number 1 pick in the second round at number 33 overall. I want to be very clear. If the Jets offered me this, I would probably look at Woody Johnson, and I'd say, hey, Woody, do you remember many years ago you told me to drop down and give you 10 push-ups? I want you to drop down at 80-plus years old and give me 100 push-ups because this is not even close. And right now, when I think about the Raiders' number 1 overall pick, maybe it's a bad comparison to make because I'm not saying the Raiders' number 1 pick is shit. I'm not saying it's toilet paper. But what it makes me think of, I saw people buying toilet paper during COVID for hundreds, and I mean hundreds of dollars. Why? Because supply and demand. The demand was still there. The supply was running thin. Because Fernando Mendoza is clearly the number 1 overall pick, because the other quarterbacks out there, I'm going to make you give me hundreds of dollars for that toilet paper. I'm going to make you give me so many picks that you're going, man, that is a drastic, and I mean a drastic overpay. But that's what Mendoza and the number 1 pick means to me. Let's go to my Jets trade here. And I think certain trades are going to be different. You're going to notice that what I'm going to ask for from the New York Jets is going to be a ridiculous amount. But guess what? That's what I want. I want a ridiculous, and I mean a ridiculous amount of picks for the Jets. And here's the thing. They got the picks to be able to do it. So that's why I am asking for this. I've sat back and I thought, does it make sense to ask for all 6-round picks? Because they got 2 this year, 3 next season, and then obviously they have that another first-round pick in 2028. I thought that actually was a little bit overboard. I think getting 5 first-round picks for you to essentially just go from 1 down to 2, and to be nice, I'll throw in 2 fourth-rounders for the New York Jets fans out there. Because we also have another 4th-round pick. It's a comp pick in the 4th round. But if you're the Jets and you know that they traded away Sauce Gardner, you know that they traded away Quinnen Williams, they went all in on a QB. And this is also the reason why Raider fans, to me, should want to draft Mendoza. You can have all the picks in the world. You're going to have all the picks in the world. Doesn't mean you're going to be able to go out and get your quarterback. And right now the Jets are in a situation where they're like, holy shit, man. We have 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. What if we can't get our quarterback? Well, since you already tried to go all in on getting your guy, because I think that's why the Jets traded who they did. They traded everybody away because I really think Woody Johnson wanted Fernando Mendoza. And I've had a good source tell me that Woody Johnson wants Fernando Mendoza. So, Woody, if you want him, here's where the conversation starts. I want 5 first-round picks. 5 first-round picks to get that conversation going. And then, if you ended up doing this, I think it would be a certain player in mind for the Silver and Black, which I will talk about here in just a little bit. If you do not know, I want the Jets to overpay for Mendoza, but at the end of the day, I still want Mendoza to be a Raider. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick, and the number 1 fantasy sports app out there, it's PrizePicks. Make player picks, have fun, whether you're watching hoops action, maybe you're watching a little bit of college. I can't wait to see Mendoza go up against Miami in the Natty. And I'm going to be going on more. I'm going to be doing a Mendoza stack. I can't wait to get it going because on PrizePicks, how you play, it's up to you. And if you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Now, since the Natty is a little bit away, I don't have a lineup in yet for that one. So what I'm showing you is my lineup here for the weekend games. I'm going to be watching Josh Allen. I'm going to be rooting for him up against the Broncos. And then you got the Rams. It seems like Puka is always good for a touchdown. If you want to get in on the action, PrizePicks is now available in all 50 states. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks accepts most major payment methods, making deposits into your account quick and easy this sports season. Download the PrizePicks app today. Make sure that you use code CLNS to be able to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Let's go to the next number 1 trade draft idea that I got. I had a source tell me that one of the Raiders owners told him that he had conversations with somebody from the Tennessee Titans, and because the Titans were getting ready to do all these different changes, that they were willing to trade away Cam Ward. All right, so if you want the number 1 pick, you're going to go get Mendoza. let's get a little bit interesting here. Here's the trade that I would want. And again, Tennessee ain't going to give us all this, but if Tennessee wants the number 1 pick, this is what I want in return. I want number 4, and I want your second-round pick that's 35 overall. I also want your first-round pick next season, 2027. On top of that, I want Cam Ward, and I want Jeffrey Simmons at defensive tackle. There's no person on the planet that works for Tennessee that's going to give us this. And I know that. I think you guys know that. What do you say? If I was the Raiders, I would absolutely accept this deal. You're getting one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL at 28 years old. You're getting a hell of a quarterback in Cam Ward, and I make an argument. Cam Ward's more athletic than Mendoza, but Mendoza I do think fits better with what we have. But if you were the Raiders and you were to go out and get more of a spread you out type of offensive coordinator, like Davis Webb with Cam Ward, I actually think it would be really interesting from an OC standpoint. But you get a first-round pick, you get a second-round pick, you get a first-round pick next season. But that's what I'm saying. What I want is up here. What I think people are willing to offer me is going to be here. There's going to be such a big middle ground that Tennessee's going to laugh at me. And that's okay, because the only way I'm giving up the number 1 overall pick is if you overpay like toilet paper during COVID type of overpay. Let's then go to the final trade here on this show. It's a prep for the future. Prep for the future type of trade. And the only team that I really think allows the Raiders to do this prep for the future trade is, again, the New York Jets. So if any Jets fans out there got mad at the first trade that I threw out there, like, that's ridiculous, maybe this one makes you feel a little bit better. We're just going to swap 1 and 2. So you get number 1, I get pick number 2. I want all 3 of your first-round picks in 2027, and I also want a first and a second-round pick in 2028. To me, the only way that the Raiders do a trade like this is for 1 player and 1 player only. It's not Arch Manning. I actually laugh out loud when I hear people say Arch Manning to the Raiders because it tells me that you don't actually have any sources inside of this organization. Quite frankly, I don't think the Raiders are even kind of interested in Arch Manning. The 1 quarterback that I know for a fact that Tom Brady and John Spytek have already had conversations about, it's C.J. Carr, quarterback of Notre Dame, who I believe will be the number 1 overall pick in the 2027 NFL Draft. If you don't know why the connections of C.J. Carr are there with Brady and John Spytek, well, there's a really cool show. It's called The Raiders Report. If you look up C.J. Carr and Raiders Report, I've already done an entire video around why that would be the player that the Raiders would do a crazy trade like this for. So again, a lot of different trades I threw out there. The reason why I wanted to do this show is, again, because I get asked, what is the number 1 overall pick worth? To me, it's almost priceless. I want Fernando Mendoza. I want the Heisman Trophy winner. I want somebody that is a franchise quarterback that makes everybody else around him better. That's who I believe it is. I think the pairing of Tom Brady, John Spytek, and Mendoza is almost a match made in heaven. So if a team wants that number 1 overall pick, you're going to have to give me a lot of picks for it, and maybe even a few players into the mix. If the conversation doesn't start with 4 first-round picks, you instantly hang up the phone. But again, it's because I want Mendoza. And if you're a Raiders fan and you want to trade the number 1 overall pick, I think that you should entertain these trades ideas because these trades are good values for us. But if you want Mendoza, just take him, man, because the Chiefs would never trade Patrick Mahomes. The Bills would never trade Josh Allen. And when you find that guy, the picks don't matter because when you find that guy, he makes everybody else around you better. Just ask Tom Brady.